Welcome back to the channel. I am Sim with Vengeance, and today I am here to provide you some insight on the newest college football game on the market that has been getting some buzz here over the past few months, and that is Doug Flutie's Maximum Football 19. It's the first college football game of its kind since NCAA Football 14 was released back in 2013. So it's been about 6 years since the last college football game. Only available on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Sorry, PC gamers, you kind of have to get a console for this one. So today I want to cover the good, the bad, and the ugly about this game. Kind of give you guys a little bit more information about this game, and so you, the consumer, can make the best decision on whether to buy this game or not. I know this game's been out for about a month, but there may be some people who are still on the fence or are still looking for an honest opinion about this game. So today, I'm not alone. I have a wonderful guest, FranchiseGaming, to help me dissect this topic. He will be covering one portion of the game. I will be covering another portion. So without further ado, let's get on with the video today. And first off, I do want to disclose that this is my own opinion, and this is also FranchiseGaming's own opinion. We do have separate opinions, so I do respect your guys' as well. So please be respectful in the comment section down below. If not, I mean, if you're just going to get ignored, not really going to take too much time out of that day. But FranchiseGaming, why don't you take it away and kind of give your insight about the game, and I'll break down mine in just a few minutes.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thank you so much to Sin with Vengeance for allowing me to come on here and talk to you guys about Doug Flutie's Maximum Football 2019. I am FranchiseGaming. This is the menu to the game, as you can see. Basic options here: season play, college dynasty, some customization options, and a quick play now. In the quick play now, you can really only use their pro team versions, but here I have this dynasty loaded up for you guys where I'm actually in season 2. We went 7-5 on a stream that I did here. Bowling Green Falcons. I went ahead and I changed Bowling Green into actual Bowling Green. This is the roster here. I don't like that it showed that my position grades were like all A pluses, if you saw that. That's really weird considering my best player's an 87. Like, if you want to say my receiving group is like an A minus maybe at best, then maybe I would agree with you. But the rest of the positions are not good on this team, and as you can see, the depth chart is kind of confusing. It's very out of order from what you might be used to with like NCAA or Madden. Now, that's not like a super knock on the game, because like with 3 people making it, you can't really expect Madden or NCAA out of it. But you would think that if you were making a game completely from scratch, that you would want to keep it as close to the games that people are familiar with as humanly possible, but that's not what they did here. This is kind of weird. It's a weird depth chart to use. I don't like the depth chart system. It's confusing. It's hard to maneuver, and that's probably one of the worst things I can say about the roster menus and that kind of stuff. The depth chart is just way off. I don't really like the base rosters in the game. I thought Ryden would do a better job. That's probably my most disappointing thing about maybe the game as a whole, is that I thought Ryden's rosters would make a little bit more sense. You know, there's like teams like that Bowling Green that had a bunch of 80s at wide receiver and like a 69 is the best halfback. I would have thought maybe it would have been more well thought out than that, but maybe it was completely random, and I just don't know. Here, I'm showing you guys that when you go into prospects and you add some guys to your board, you back out. Every time you back out into this screen, it takes exactly this long for it to save, and it auto-saves every time. And it's pretty annoying. So we're going to go into recruiting here. This is how long it takes to actually get into recruiting after you simulate to week 1. When you're starting a dynasty. Now, usually when you start a dynasty, you're not going to be able to call recruits like this. A number 8 receiver, there would be no chance that you would get them with all extremely lows like I have here. And really, I like this aspect of recruiting. Now, here in year 2, after going 7-5 with Bowling Green, I wouldn't expect to get a number 8 receiver anyways, but they kind of allow me to call them. I do like the recruiting system in this game. It's more like an NCAA 12 or 13. Like, those games were hard to recruit in. NCAA 14, as great of a game as it is and as high as it's heralded, is really too easy to recruit in. So you look here, after year 1 in the dynasty, you can go back and you can look at season 1 statistics, the individual statistics, the team statistics. The only thing is it does not keep a running total, so you cannot get career statistics. You would have to keep them yourself or add them up using a calculator or whatever you need to do. You can see here that the statistics are also weird in a simulated season. 580 yards is number 1 in the country. Quite weird. Okay, customization in this game is probably its number 1 proponent to buy it, is the fact that you can customize all 130 teams here, and you can see I have tried to get them as close to as humanly possible to the teams that they really are. That's what I decided to do, but I did not create logos. Now, you can create up to 50 logos in the game, not 130. Now, it would be nice to see 130, but you can't do that. So you'd have to use some stock logos. I don't mind this Kansas Jayhawk one. I actually think it's quite comical and funny. You can use some of the stock logos. You can create 50 from scratch and put those in here and try to make it as close as humanly possible to the real teams as you can. You can customize these jerseys. The recruiting process here, I do have to commend them in. Obviously, in year 1 of the dynasty, it's a little bit better than in future years. Year 1, they would not accept these calls, some of these guys that I would be going after. But in year 2, you can get top 10 in positions. You would have to, I do like the idea, like an NCAA 12 and 13, where you kind of have to pitch on your school, what your school's good at. So you kind of have to go after guys that are a little bit closer to your school, because then you have something to offer. At least they're close to home. Guys that aren't interested in that, it's going to be a lot harder to get them if they're not interested in being close to home and they want to go away for school. That's going to be kind of hard. You know, you don't really have the resources that other schools have. And speaking of not having resources that bigger things have, this game did not have the resources that a Madden or an NCAA does. It does not have EA's money. It does not have EA's developers, highly paid developers, plenty of developers. It doesn't have all of that. So they did what they could based on the budget that they had and 3 guys working on the game, only 1 on the gameplay. Now, at the end of the day, you guys probably don't care too much about that, because you're just looking at what kind of value does this game bring to you. And that's going to be developed on your own thoughts, all right? There's going to be people out there that are going to hate this game. There's going to be people out there that are going to swear by this game. I am neither, okay? I am kind of in the middle, and I have purchased this game based on the promise of future installments of this game possibly getting better. I think of it more of an investment into this small company Canuck Play, and I really want to see them do more with this. They can do better, and now with more time and more resources, aka everyone's $30 who have already put in for this, they can now do better. And I hope to see them do better, because there are things that they can improve upon. Obviously, you don't want to just go ahead and praise. You want to give them some things that they can work on, and there are definitely things that they can work on here. So, you know, making the depth chart smoother would be one. That's one of the main ones. Making the rosters make a little bit more sense. I know they have to be more random because you can't do player likeness and all that stuff. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for it to make some sense, okay? I'm asking for teams not to have all 80s in receiver and then all 60s in running back. Like, can we make some sense? Would really be nice, okay? I do like the recruiting system. I wish that, you know, if I'm Bowling Green year 1 and we go 7-5, we're still Bowling Green. Like, we shouldn't be getting the number 8 receiver. Maybe we move up a tier, and instead of getting the number 300 receiver, we can get number 240 or something, you know? I don't know how they can build that in code. I'm not a coder, but they should be able to get something like that done. Relatively simple, I would think. So that would be cool. They did go ahead and they are doing constant updates on this game. They are listening to fans, and that is definitely something that, like, we've been asking EA to do, and they don't really do it. So they don't listen to us, obviously. They're all about the microtransactions. In this, there is no online gameplay. There is nothing online. They are not making microtransaction dollars. They are just working on dynasty mode and gameplay. And with your help, with your investment of $30 to get this game and see what it is, you can not only get the game and get the benefits of having it now, but you can also let them know what you think. Let them know what they can improve on. You can tweet at them. They will answer. They will talk to you. And they will take your suggestions. And that is kind of priceless to me. And I really appreciate that. And that's really what I think of it as. Once again, I really thank Sin with Vengeance for having me on. I'm FG. Take care.
Thank you for your wonderful insight here, Franchise Gaming. And like I said, guys, go check him out in the description. Link's already down there. And he provided wonderful insight on the menu items, the customization, the recruiting process, and everything that's outside of the gameplay. But now I want to talk about the gameplay itself. There's a few things that I wanted to break down that maybe you guys should be aware of before you go and buy the game. Now, when I talk about the gameplay, this isn't an end-all be-all to the game. There are a few things that I don't necessarily like about the game, and there are a few glitches, like every other game ever. But these things can be fixed, and going forward, I think they can actually fix them because, they do listen to us. This isn't Madden. This isn't like a AAA title. This is an indie game developer taking everything that we say into consideration, and we could try and make everything happen going forward. So, not only about the gameplay, but just the controller settings as well, because we all know that this game isn't necessarily perfect, even on the sticks. So we got to fix that up going forward. I want to get into a few of those things here, so let's get started. The one big elephant in the room I need to address on this game is the controller settings, simply because it needs to be talked about. And I know it's not fair to compare Madden or NCAA, both AAA titles, to an indie game like Maximum Football. But if you're going to make a game like Maximum Football, there are a lot of Madden and NCAA football players out there. So you need the controller setup with the button inputs, the sticks, and the D-pads even, and the bumpers and everything in between that to be as identical as possible to the major game on the market. And what I mean by that is, when I'm playing this on PS4, when I sprint, R2 is what I normally default to in my head. So when I have to hold down X or A if you're on Xbox, it throws me off for a loop. And I think it's probably throwing a few of you off for a loop too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do also remember that that same button, A or X or whatever that main button is on your controller back in the day, used to be the sprint button back in like Madden 95. But it's 2019, almost 2020, and we still have that button here that's being used as a sprint button when everybody else is using R2 or... So you would think that would be more synonymous. That's just an example, but I know there's a few more things that I want to go over. Now on to the gameplay. The first thing I really need to address is the running game. If you guys watch me for a long time, you know I'm a big fan of running the football. I run the ball up and down and stuff it down people's throats all the time if I've given the chance. The big knock I have on this game is that the running game is basically non-existent, both on the user and the CPU side. So it's not like I'm being biased towards any one player's game or myself. Oh, I can't run the ball, but both teams can't run the ball very well. And even looking at other YouTubers as well, I haven't seen a game where the rushing has exceeded 100 yards. Simply not a good thing to see, especially since college football is more predicated on the run than it is the pass. The one thing I instantly want to point out is that the run game just simply takes too long to develop between the quarterback and running back exchange before the runner actually starts to get his momentum on his carry. And that's simply too long of a time. It almost looks like when the runner gets the handoff, he's stationary for a few seconds. It's not that long, but it's enough time to where the defense has enough time to get in the backfield. And I hope they get this fixed. I would love to see this fixed. The run game does need to be fixed. There are moments in the game where the run game does look good, but it needs to be more consistent. And that's something that this game is really bringing me down on, because I don't want to rely on the pass. It becomes too one-dimensional, and it just takes a little bit of fun out of the game, at least in my opinion. But with that, another big flaw, at least in my opinion, is input lag. For those who don't know what I mean, I'll briefly sum it up for you. It's the time for when you press the button to when the game reacts to you pressing that button. So one thing that I want to point out is when I drop back, survey the field, and press a button, it takes a little bit of time for me to actually see that ball being thrown. Don't know have an exact time for that, but it does take a little bit of time. It's almost like he's trying to wind up to make that throw, and it's taking him too long, and sometimes it even results in a sack. Whereas if I want to press a button, it should almost be a simultaneous reaction. So when I press X or B or RB or R1 if you're on PlayStation, when I press that button, it should be already be in place that ball is already in motion of being thrown, not press the button, wait half a second, and then release. It's just too much time, and it can result in sacks that I just don't need to be taking. Another thing that I will address in this game is the blocking. The blocking's not necessarily the best, and I'll explain why. Yes, I do realize that I need to read a defense in order for the game to be successful. Reference this tweet that you see on your screen. But it can be really difficult to get a real feel of the game when you instantly snap the ball and you have less than a second to react before you're taken down for a sack. This gives you little to no time to even do a simple play. One thing that I picked up on as well was when the offensive linemen are missing the simplest of assignments on plays where the blocking is just right in front of them. It's man to man, and they don't even block the guy in front of them, not even attempting to throw a block. But there's no excuse to give up 10 plus sacks in a game, no matter if it's the user or the CPU, based on a consistent basis. That's way too much. Now, one thing I will say about the game is that the defense does react to their specific assignments. The defense is pretty dang good. They get to the ball. Now, the one thing that I will say is when there is also a deflection, there isn't an interception that's going to happen. It has to pretty much happen straight up, kind of like in the old Madden games where once you got a deflection, the ball just kind of fell harmlessly to the turf. It was kind of like a dead ball at that point. That might change in the future for Maximum Football 20. I would like to see it because tip drills are fun to watch. You know, you get a tip ball interception. They're one of the most exciting plays in football, and I would feel like that would bring just a little bit more excitement to the game. The zone coverages are another one thing that I really do like to see. There's not many missed assignments defensively. The safeties do play their zones. The corners do play their zones as well. They mostly play man-to-man. That's just my type of style. And the linebackers usually stay pretty honed in as well. Like I said, the defense is actually pretty solid in the game. There's not going to be many broken tackles either, from what I've experienced and from what I've seen from other YouTubers. Broken tackles just aren't much of a thing. And I know that's a big thing in Madden and NCAA, is that there's a lot of broken tackles from what you're used to seeing. So that's one thing about the game that I really do enjoy, is the defense. Simulating is another great feature in this game that we would like to see much improved. But let's be honest with ourselves here, it's not very good at the moment. Based on my personal experience, it took nearly 5 minutes to simulate just a whole week of games. In NCAA, it takes half the time. So as much as the game goes through one by one, and I like seeing the scores as I like pop by, but I mean, I could just go back if I was really that concerned with a certain team's score, how they were doing, so on and so forth. I would like to go back to the menu and just go see that myself, instead of seeing every game being simulated. So I feel like to cut down on simulation time, there's got to be a little bit of a better effort on that part. It shouldn't take a whole 5 minutes. As much as the game likes to go through them one by one, the one positive note I can say about this is that you get to see the standings in real time as they're being simulated. But then again, like I said, 5 minutes per week on a 15-week season. You're looking to do one season, just the regular season as a matter of fact, in just like an hour, and that's just way too much time. That's one thing I would like to see improved, is the simulation aspect. So that is going to cover the topic for Maximum Football 19. I hope I gave you guys a little bit more insight on the game itself. I know the game's been out for a month now almost, and I know some people still may be on the fence about it, and some people who have bought the game or maybe want to just go over a few things in the comments. Absolutely, let me know what you guys think about these kind of videos as well. More reviews. I'm not usually the type of person to do reviews either, but thank you so much again to FranchiseGaming for helping me out. And like I said, comment down below. If you haven't bought the game yet, have you thought about buying it? Or are you just going to pass? One thing I will say is that my personal opinion will stand like this. If you don't have an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 to access the NCAA 14, this would be the perfect game for you, at least to hold you over for that college football fix. Because I know not everybody still has access to those things. So if you have the chance, spend the $30 on that part, at least in the aspect that you could get all the customization, all the dynasty settings. The dynasty is absolutely one of the best features in this game. I say in that regard, buy it. And if you still have NCAA 14, still buy the game, still have fun with it. I find myself enjoying it more than I don't enjoy it, so that's a positive. And like I said, you got to give credit to the Canuck play. He worked his butt off to make this game happen just so we could have college football again. So you got to give him some credit here. And I would love to see this continue on going forward. The community here in franchise dynasty mode YouTubers like myself, FranchiseGaming, Perm Crow, Not the Expert, Mr. Hurricane, Moonlight Swami, all of us really would like to see this game succeed. And we would like to see this game going forward keep making improvements, at least in the gameplay department, as well as the, you know, the small little things like the screen, the autosave part, which I know they said they were addressing, just to name a few things. So make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. But until next time, I'm Sin, and that other person was FranchiseGaming. I will say it one more time. Check him out. Good dude. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.